let's get right into it and see what it's talking about.
Atlanta and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention left shaken after a deadly shooting. Authorities say a gunman opened fire near Emory University, just outside the CDC headquarters, late yesterday afternoon, with at least 4 buildings struck by gunfire. DeKalb County police officer David Rose was fatally injured while responding to the scene. The 33-year-old was a married father of 2 with a 3rd child on the way.
Okay, hold on. Every time, is it just me? Or is it every single time we get an officer who's died in the field of doing their duty? They are heroes, so we're not gonna knock their being heroes. But every single time they have a pregnant wife waiting at home for them. Jesus, man. We gotta pray for the family, of course. But this is probably about 6 days ago, a week ago. But hopefully, the wife is going through it, but hopefully she can make it through.
Dave Malkoff is in Atlanta with the very latest. Dave, good morning.
Good morning. A really tough day for the Atlanta community, especially in law enforcement. This is the CDC right behind me. The windows were hit with rapid gunfire with people inside there. We're told the gunfire actually came from the CVS pharmacy across the street. On the 2nd floor is where they found the gunman shot dead. Not sure if he was shot by police or if he shot himself. An alert sent to the Emory University community was crystal clear. Run. Hide, fight.
First reaction is to freak out because something was telling me not to leave the hospital, and I left, and then to see this. But very shocking.
Police say a man opened fire near the school, hitting several buildings at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention headquarters.
I heard what I at first thought was maybe construction, people doing roofing work, but the reports just kept coming, and I kind of grew up around guns, and you figure out pretty quickly that this is not a hammer that you're listening to.
Police say when it was all over, the gunman and 33-year-old DeKalb County officer David Rose were both dead.
We don't have any civilians that have been shot in this active shooter incident. Thank God for that.
Officers responding to the incident heard gunshots at a nearby drugstore.
We later found the shooter on the 2nd floor of the CVS. He had been struck by gunfire. We do not know at this time whether that was from officers or if it was self-inflicted.
More than 90 children who are at a CDC daycare are all safe.
90 children.
Now, all of those children were reunited with their parents. They were standing out here on the street for a while. Let's talk about Officer David Rose. He had just joined the force less than a year ago here in DeKalb County. He was a father. He had a baby on the way. And right now, he is being mourned by all of the law enforcement community. And Adriana, the FBI, the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and also the Atlanta Police Department are all working together to figure out what this crime was and why this man started shooting at the CDC across the street.
All right, Dave, thank you so much. Those details are so hard.
Now, is it the same case of the dude the health insurance CEO? Is that the same case? But let's get over into the next video where they break down a little bit more of new details of what they found. So let's get right over into that and see what it's talking about.
Some new details on the shooting at CDC headquarters in Atlanta, where 33-year-old police officer David Rose was killed last week. He was a father of 2, had a 3rd child on the way, working on the police force just a few months, previously serving as a Marine in the U.S. Marine Corps with a deployment to Afghanistan.
All right, first thing, like I said before, this man was a hero. He was doing his job. And you never expect what day will be your last, especially when you're working in some kind of high violence like police officers, firefighters, anything like that. You never know what day could be your last. And it's truly sad that we lost someone like this. His parents are going. I'm not his parents, but his children will grow up without a father, especially that baby that's on the way. But we just hopefully the mother is just going to have to let the son know, or the son or daughter know, that their father was a hero. But let's keep going into this.
His mother says David was fearless, strong, and a go-getter, always there for anyone in need.
That's my son. He will step in front of them again. If you line them up again and say, this is what's going to happen, he would say, well, someone has to do it.
Senior
That's a
correspondent
hero
Jonathan
right there.
Seri following this tragic story live from Atlanta. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi there, Martha. An incredibly sad story. The medical examiner confirms that Officer Rose did indeed die from injuries from one of the gunman's weapons, and that the gunman died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That gunman, 30-year-old.
So he killed himself after doing this. Golly, man. There's some sick people in this world and cowards at the same time. Go up and shoot, and then, oh my God. Absolutely crazy. But we can see his own his
Patrick Joseph White had no prior gunman. 30-year-old Patrick Joseph White had no prior criminal history. But he was no stranger to police because of prior suicide threats. On the day of the shooting, the gunman's father called police asking to speak with an officer he had dealt with before.
He has been involved with last summer with some problems that we had with my adult son, and I'm very worried that he might have been involved in this shooting today.
Investigators say the gunman fired more than 500 shots, striking buildings on the CDC campus nearly 200 times.
A search warrant executed at the residence of the shooter revealed written documentation that expressed the shooter's discontent with the COVID-19 vaccinations.
A union representing federal health workers is calling on CDC and HHS leadership to condemn vaccine disinformation, which it says is putting scientists at risk.
Hold on. Let me say something. It is the middle of the year, or past the middle of the year, 2025. Why are people still upset about what had happened in 2020 when the vaccines came out? They are still upset and going to shoot up the CDC? Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.
An exclusive interview with Fox News Monday, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy reiterated some of his controversial views on vaccines, but pledged transparency to rebuild public trust.
We need to tell Americans what we do know and what we don't know about these products. And that's what we're trying to do.
And Martha, Secretary Kennedy offered assurances to CDC employees that HHS is doing everything it can to ensure their safety. Back to you.
Now, we have to back it up now. Come on now. Got to back it up. We got to look at the face, man. We know we have to look at this man's face. Adult 30-year-old man who already had suicidal thoughts. Sounds like to me, I might be if I'm mistaken, but it sounds like he already had prior suicidal thoughts. Angry at the CDC headquarters because of the COVID-19 vaccinations. I wonder why. Oh my God. But he's angry at the CDC and then shoots at the CDC 500 times with 200 shots hitting the building, not caring who he hit. Not caring who he killed. He obviously didn't care. He killed that officer. God, man. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then he took his own life. There's some, I don't know if you can chalk this up to mental health, but a lot of people will chalk this up to mental health. I don't know if he was just not in... The old school way of saying it, not in the right mind, but that's absolutely crazy to me. I don't understand why people are still getting upset over vaccinations from 2020. 2021? And it's 2025 now? But only one person has lost his life. And like I said before, we have to, we gotta pray for his family. He was doing his job, trying to protect people, and lost his life in the line of duty. He's a hero. He is a hero. You never know when you're working in these kind of situations, and you're striving to be the officer, the policeman that the city needs. You never know when it can be your last day. So we gotta pray. We gotta pray for his family. Pray for that they get everything that they need. Hopefully his wife is all right, because she, all that stress while she's pregnant. Godly. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's go through and hear, where's his father talking one more time?
Officer he had dealt with before.
He has been involved with last summer with some problems that we had with my adult son, and I'm very worried that he might have been involved in this shooting today.
The father knew he had an idea of what his son could possibly do. Golly, man. He had to have talked about his hatred of the CDC. He had to. But I'm trying to understand. Well, you're never going to understand. I could never understand what's going through the minds of this kind of person. But, golly, man. Absolutely crazy. That is a wild situation. And it's sad that a hero had to lose his life because someone was upset at the CDC. Absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Tell me your thoughts. There's no one to put behind bars because he ended up taking his own life, but golly, tell me your thoughts on that whole situation. What do you think he was upset? What about the vaccine made him upset? Was it the mandatory having to take it? Was it the lockdowns? What made him so upset that he would fire 500 shots at the CDC headquarters near Emory University? Absolutely crazy. And I mean, if you believe in God and hell, we all know where he's going. We all know where he's going. But hey, I'm not gonna say anything else. But tell me your thoughts. Leave me in comments. Tell me if you disagree with any of the things I said. Remember, this is always a show where we want to be able to discuss what is being said and what we're looking at, because we don't want to live in an echo chamber. We don't want to live in an echo chamber where people just agree. If you agree with what we say, yeah, you're fine. But if you disagree, tell me why you disagree, and reasonably. Come on now, we got to be reasonable, intellectual people. That is what the world and people need to have more in this world for us to have these types of discussions. All right, everybody, remember this is AC Reviews the Word. Remember to like and subscribe.